Okay, we're all connected up. It was a little bit of an adventure because I've discovered a slight problem with the wiring system. It's nothing major, it's just that the spin enable on this particular board looks as though there's some sort of a hardware change going through, and at the moment, according to the net, it's all up in the air. Nobody's quite sure whether the spin enabled pin on this board is actually spin enable or something else. So I did a little bit of investigation with the old multimeter and finally came to the conclusion that the best thing I can do is to ignore the spin enable, plug the relay enable wire into the coolant enable, and then use coolant enable, coolant off as the spindle start and stop commands. It's a little bit of a nuisance because that means I've got to actually type in the M command directly at the keyboard rather than just letting it well, there's a little button to press which I can no longer press apparently. And while I was doing that, I suddenly realized something. This piece of plastic that I was so puzzled about is actually intended as a cover plate to go over the top of all of the electronics. It actually corresponds to the positions of the three plugs for the motors and the fourth, which is not actually used for anything but it could be used. This hole is intended for all the wires for the spindle drive, and these two holes obviously for the power supply into the thing, and you're supposed to mount the Arduino like so, put the cover plate over it and feed all the wires through there. Well, no, I think I'll just bin that, and I'll probably use my good old Chinese printer to make myself another 3D printer, that is, to make myself another box for that. So here we go. Let's actually do some cutting. First of all, I've got to turn on the spindle. Now I can't remember which code it is. I've been messing with this and I've turned it around a little bit. I think it's M9. Yep. Okay, the spindle is now running. I'm not going to run a program at this stage. I'm going to use the step jog controls. Step size I've got set to 1, and I'm going to jog down 1 in the Z direction. Whoop, there she went, and another, and another, and another. I'll keep going until I actually make contact. I'll get my face right in there so that I can see what's happening. Right, you can hear that, I've no doubt. We're into the surface. Now I'm going to lift that back up so that it's out of the surface. I'm going to reduce the step size to 0.1, and I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to stop there a moment. I'm going to make a slight shift because that last contact with the workpiece has actually made a hole, and I don't want to go into the hole. I'm going to switch to step size 10, and I'm going to move the X shift, so that should be this direction, I hope. Okay, now back to step size 0.1 and continue coming down on the Z. 1, 2. I think I'm making contact. The notes change slightly. I'll go one more step. Yeah. Yes, definitely in. I can just see it touching. So let's step in the X direction. Well, come back this way. I've got this turned around so that I'm not quite sure of the actual direction. I've got it facing you instead of me. So let's try that one, see which way it goes. Yep, it's coming towards me. Okay, it seems to be cutting fairly nicely, so I'm going to up the step size to 1mm. How are we doing? Okay, that's cutting the surface. Let's go completely crazy. Go to 10mm. And which way shall I go? I'll come back. Let's go towards me. Okay, let's cut a neat little square. Let's go a little deeper. Step size, let's be completely crazy. It's only a piece of MDF, it's quite soft. So I'm going to go down Z 1mm. That's well into the sampler now. And I'm going to go towards you. Oh, I need to change the step size. Let's make that 10 again. Towards you. Okay, let's Z jog up and put in the M code to stop the spindle. M0, I think it's 8. Oh, I keep doing that. I put that command into the file name instead of the command box. There we go. Okay, the next thing to do is to see if it'll do something a little bit more meaty. I'm going to stick a piece of aluminium plate in there, be completely stupid. Let's see what happens with a bit of aluminium. Right, in the meanwhile, while I'm doing that, I'm going to stop the video. The aluminium plate is mounted in place. We're all set to start cutting real metal. So, let me see now. First of all, we have to actually get the spindle rotating, which is M09, is it? 9 is on. Okay, now step size is set to 1mm. I'm quite close to the table and it is aluminium, so I'm not going to take any risks. I'm going to set this to 0.1 and step down and again, and again, and again, again, again. Now you can hear the vibration. I can feel the vibration. It's clearly hit the surface. Interestingly, there's not a lot of wobble on the tool tip. It's not even discernible wobble, so I'm quite pleased about that. So let's see what happens if we put the step size up to 10 and do a shift that way. Oh no, interestingly, that seemed to come out of the surface. Now it may be that the table isn't level. I can actually see the gap, so we may have a slight problem with the with the table being slightly tilted. Well, that's fixable, and in fact it may even be just down to the fact that I've got a rather soft piece of material underneath the actual cutting surface. It might just be down to that. Let's go to step size 0.1 and go down again. Now we're into the surface again. I'll give it one more step down to make sure I bite. Now go back to 10mm movement and go back the way I came. I think that would be, I hope, that way. Now then. That's made a significant impression on that piece of metal. So let's go down another step. Oh, let's get carried away. I'll go 0.2mm. That's quite deep into the surface for a milling cut on something like this. Step size 10 again, and back. Actually, that's not doing badly at all. So let's switch this off. 0.8. I need to lift it up. Step size still set at 10, Z jog upwards. Let's take the sheet out. Let's see what we've done. Well, it's actually chewed two lines very close together. It's difficult to tell. It's made a mark, is all I can say. It has made a mark, but it seems to have raised the surface quite a bit. Maybe that'll wipe a bit of. Yeah. I think it went, yes, there are definitely two lines there. There's no way you're going to see that on the camera, but there are two lines. One is a very shallow line, obviously the first cut. The second one is about, it's nearly 1 millimetre to one side of it, and it's obviously deeper, but it's chewed up the surface a lot more. It's actually raised a lot of burring around the cut. So yes and no. I mean, it's asking a lot of a tool like that to make any sort of respectable cut in a piece of aluminium. But the important thing is that the machine actually does work. From here it's just a case of getting used to it, finding out what it can and can't do. Let's be serious. This is not a piece of industrial equipment. It's for a bit of fun. I mean, at the end of the day, what, I've paid £200, of which £50 was shipping costs. I've had to pay another £20 to the customs to get it through because of VAT in the European community. Okay, well that's just unfortunate. Sometimes they catch you, sometimes they don't. It's just how the mood takes them, whether they're going to take any money off you or not. It was my day to lose some money. But at the end of the day, I've paid what, £220, and I've had at least £150 worth of fun in putting the thing together. I've paid more than that to go out to dinner on occasions. So I've had a good dinner and I've got something to play with, which I'm hoping to do some silver engraving with. It's always been a bit of a problem. Engraving's a real pain. It's difficult to control the tools, but this machine might allow me to do some very interesting work on silver, of which I've got quite a lot. My father used to collect coins, and he had a collection of the old silver coinage from the UK, which wasn't of any value as coinage, but in terms of silver it was worth it. I extracted all the silver out of it, and I've probably got about 2 kilograms. Anyway, there you go. I hope you enjoyed watching me put this together, and all the best.